Hi, I'm Patrick Sullivan. This is Recurring Insight, and for this episode, I'm going to be talking about Aether Vial. So something that I want to do in a couple of these episodes is unpack designs that are really powerful that I actually think play pretty well. I think there's a common perception that anytime a design comes in really high is a ubiquitous format feature that designers sort of poo-poo it, but some of that is actually good. Some of those designs hit well, play well, and I think add to the ecosystem more than they detracted. Aether Vial is one such example. To begin with, Aether Vial is outrageous on rate. It is a staple of modern and legacy and has been a big feature of pretty much every format that it's been legal in. And I'm not sure if you're supposed to do the design at exactly that rate. Like anything that powerful is a little sketchy. But as far as it goes, I think Aether Vial is a really great card to make powerful. You can't really play with the card if you're only playing with 1-mana creatures because it's just not really worth it. And you can't really play the card with only 3 or 4-mana creatures either because the runway for how long it takes the card to do anything is too long. And what does your deck look like when you don't draw Aether Vial? So the most powerful thing to do in theory is to play with a curve of creatures. And that actually bears out in the real world. It shows up in decks like Death and Taxes and Goblins that have 1-drops and 2-drops and 3-drops. And I think that's a more interesting thing to subsidize than just a bunch of 1-mana creatures or a bunch of expensive stuff. And it's not just random subsidization either. It's not just like drawing extra cards or anything like that. The context of the card changes. Stuff plays differently at instant speed. And so you're looking for things that, say, block really effectively as a surprise blocker like Blade Splicer, a card that's really powerful if you get to untap with it, so you have an opportunity to deploy it at your opponent's end step and shorten the windows in reaction, like Stoneforge Mystic, cards that are just functioned a little bit differently when it's the opposing turn, like Reflector Mage. And so I like the fact that it's not just, draw some extra cards or just do some generically good stuff if you're playing with a bunch of creatures. It actually changes the way that your cards function in a way that's powerful and dynamic and exciting. And I also like that because the card encourages playing with a curve of creatures, you need to make sure that your deck functions when you don't have it. And so a lot of decks that end up playing Aether Vial play with a bunch of cards that are analogous to Aether Vial, be it Birds of Paradise or Noble Hierarch or even something like Skirk Prospector to make sure that there's sufficient redundancy there. I do have some light criticisms of the card. It does sort of homogenize the card types that go along with it. You rarely see a lot of other artifacts and enchantments, and I'm not a huge fan of homogenizing the card types that much, although it's not so demanding that you can't play a couple copies of Path to Exile or Lightning Bolt. Decks often play those as well. But that doesn't do nearly enough to override what I think are the praiseworthy elements of the card, which is the incentives on it are great. The bonus that you get, your cards being played at instant speed, is different from card to card. And so it makes the selection process of what you decide to play alongside Aether Vial a lot more interesting and dynamic and likely to change over time. So that was Aether Vial, and this is Recurring Insight. A few things you can do from here. Make sure you're subscribing to the Sarcy Games YouTube page if you aren't already to get notified when this and other video series get uploaded to the page. Throw a like and comment up there as well if you'd like to. Sycophants have been just doing an exceptional job of just jamming the algorithms. Sarcy is quickly getting to a point where they really can't negotiate against me, and I can parlay this into other media enterprises. So I really appreciate the support, and tune in next time.